Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts review. Today I'll be reviewing 86 Volume 2. As of writing this review, the second half of Season 1 of the 86 anime hasn't been released yet, so I thought it'd be good to look at the next volume of the light novel. While I have no idea how much the next chunk of anime will cover, I doubt it'll be one-to-one like the first part where one novel equaled 12 episodes. There's a lot more going on in the next arc, and the second volume doesn't wrap up as conclusively as the first, so I imagine the anime will cover 2 or more novels in the next part. If the first volume of 86 was a slow-burning firework attached to a jack-in-the-box, then Volume 2 is more akin to a rollercoaster ride. You can see the track ahead, but it doesn't stop it from being any less intense once you get to it. Picking up shortly after the events of the first volume, but ignoring elements of the epilogue, as that was a little bit of a time skip and therefore skipped over a lot of developments, we find ourselves following Shin and the surviving 86 in the Spearhead Squadron as they continue their death march into unknown lands. They're a lot more worse for wear, and share a single rickety juggernaut between the 5 squad mates, taking turns moving and resting. Shin is still processing the events of the previous novel and what his parting moments with his brother meant for him and the Legion as a whole. But these thoughts are cut short as they are discovered and rescued by the Federal Republic of Giard. Here's where the tone shifts quite a bit, as the 86 are given care and freedoms they could only ever dream of in the past. The Federacy may have ulterior motives and more than a few skeletons in their closet, but times have changed and they'll take anything over their old lives. Shin and company begin to lead relatively normal city lives, albeit under a bit of a watchful eye of the Federacy. Regardless, the Spearhead Squadron pursue a number of different pastimes, and the novel takes on a bit of a slice-of-life tone. However, these are child soldiers who up until very recently had been forced to fight for their lives and a land they care nothing about. Change doesn't happen overnight. Plagued by a sense of duty and a lack of any other purpose in life, Shin and company return to the battlefield to face the Legion once more. Things are noticeably different though due to the Federacy's resources and technology. The 86 now have new machines as well as military backup. It's not just the 5 of them against all of the Legion. Not only that, but they are also joined by Frederica Rosenfort, a young girl with mysterious ties to Shin and a wielder of a unique ability also related to Shin's ability to heal the Legion. The way Frederica plays into the narrative is interesting, and she is introduced as the newly reformed Spearhead Squadron's mascot. Basically a little sister type character that motivates soldiers to fight lest they and their mascot meet an unfortunate end. It's twisted but doesn't feel nearly as dark or despair-inducing as the life the 86 led up to this point. Things evolve from there, and while it's not nearly as shocking as the first novel, Volume 2 has its own identity. Most notable of this is the partial shelving of the dual protagonist writing style of the first novel. This was most likely done in favour of telling a more cohesive story, as it's hard to fit a story of this size playing out over 2 very different locations. So while Lena still plays a role, it's not the focus of this volume. Otherwise, it's more of the same. It's a tightly written narrative, but on a grander scale than the first volume. There are a lot more politics and a lot more Legion to deal with. Basically, if you like the first novel, you'll like this one, even if it doesn't tackle the same confronting subject matter. That being said, it still goes all in on PTSD and the growing despair the Legion represent for what remains of humanity. Once again, the illustrations are fantastic, and now that the characters have been introduced in the first volume, most of the illustrations here are used to punctuate different scenes. One scene in particular reminded me just how cold and brutal the world of 86 is. Once again, there are 2 illustrators, one to work on the characters and colour images, and another to breathe life into the many horrific machines Shin is faced with on a daily basis. This worked wonders in the first book, and it pulls it off again here. Overall, it's a solid continuation to an absolutely amazing first novel. Basically, it's a hard act to follow. This is still great in its own right, it's just hard to capture that same high or the same shock value when it's expected of the author now that they've established themselves, so to speak. The world building is great, and now that it's a franchise, it feels like it can spread its wings and really grow the narrative into something bigger than the intimate battle of the Spearhead Squadron, even though that's what hooked me originally. So if anything I've just said appealed to you, then I highly recommend continuing 86. I hope you enjoyed that review. Until next time.